Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. Anton here, as per usual. Now, there's been lots of stuff going on behind the scenes at West Ham. We've had all the stories about Moyes in, Moyes out, and finally, the club obviously announced yesterday that David Moyes will be leaving the club at the end of the season. Rumours are rife, and it looks likely that West Ham will get Julen Lopetegui in as their new head coach. But sometimes, there's no point in really listening just to myself and Russ and people on the channel. It's always good to get a bit of an insight from an expert, and an expert that has been speaking quite highly of Julen Lopetegui. So let me please introduce you to Guillem Balague. How are you? You okay? You well?
All good. All excellent. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out. If people that don't know, which they will know, a football journalist, author, pundit, very, very reputable journalist as well. So thank you for taking the time out to come and speak to the little old West Ham network.
No problem. No, it's where you learn the most when you
Yeah,
listen to people like you that watch West Ham every weekend, and I've been a West Ham fan for ages.
absolutely, absolutely. Now, again, today we seen in particular, you were quite vocal in a positive way about Julen Lopetegui. It hasn't been formally announced by the club, but it's looking more and more likely that he is coming into West Ham. And you are sharing your thoughts on how Wolves fans anticipated him. But equally, for your reference, some West Ham fans have made a judgment on him without him even potentially coming in the door. So, with your knowledge of the Spanish football, and he's been in and around those leagues for a while, can you give us a little bit more insight into him and what's your thoughts on him?
It's all agreed. First of all, let me say it's all agreed as
Yeah,
I announced yesterday. I
yeah,
don't know. Time goes so quickly. So you will have him as the new West Ham manager. And I understand people without knowledge judging. That's what social media is about. You don't know what you're talking about, but you have an opinion. I get that. Um, then it's a good idea, as you say, to actually talk to people that know him to get a little bit more into what he's like or what he's done. For instance, taking Sevilla for the first time in the history 3 times to the Champions League or winning the Europa League. With the point count, it was also record for the club at a time where they weren't getting right some of the signings. With Spain, it was a fantastic qualification for the World Cup, and then Rubiales, who now we know is on the verge of being called a criminal, as he's been investigated for a lot of things, decided that he didn't like the fact that he was going to Real Madrid after the summer, even though Lopetegui had told everyone what was happening. This is important because I feel that people don't get Lopetegui, as I say, that they don't have a clue, do they? So it's normal that they make judgments without the knowledge. But he's a typical Basque, if you like, somebody who puts the club first, who hasn't got a big ego, who's all work, and who quite clearly has got the right values in life, including honorability, and that goes back to what happened at Wolves. At Wolves, basically, they lied to him 3 times. So they moved the goalpost 3 times, telling him first that don't worry after the success, because it was a very successful period there where he took the team from the bottom to 13th, 7 points from relegation. And that was the only target to come out of relegation. That was done brilliantly. He, of course, stayed at Wolves and wanted to be at Wolves originally because he was told we can get young players over 25 million pounds and then grow from there. So he started looking at players that fitted that mold and what he wanted to do with Wolves. And then he was told a week before the end of the season, I think it was, actually no, forget that, but you'll be able to get players on a free. So he started looking into that, disappointed because that was not the original plan. And then he was told just before pre-season started, forget about free players. You're not going to get anybody, nobody. So, and that went on, and then it gets to a point where if you've been, what would be the word? Say like that by your boss
yeah,
3 times, you better go. If you are honest to yourself, you better go. So
yeah.
that's what happened. Obviously, Wolves fans are disappointed of the timing when it had happened, but when he went, he already had told 10 days earlier to the club that he was leaving, so he gave them time to prepare. The campaign, if you like, that comes from certain quarters, and that includes AC Milan. We can talk about that as well. Comes on the basic error of not knowing about him. But fine,
And
it's
that
we'll,
and that seems to
we'll
be
deal with it.
really that seems to be the really common denominator is the lack of knowledge behind somebody who has come to the Premier League with a high record and a very good achievements as a coach, as a manager. And like you said, when you're promised things and things change, that's a very hard task to just sit there and not necessarily just ruin your reputation, but if you believe in a product, i.e., the job that he was told he was going to get and be given, and all the tools behind it, and if that changes, then he seems to be a man of integrity as well. And I think you mentioned that, didn't you? It seems to be
Yeah.
that throughout his career, it's been really all about like personality.
Yeah, so you create a career that at some point takes you to the national side, to Real Madrid, success with Sevilla, success with Wolves. He wasn't the only offer he had Wolves, but he was told there was a project that was about pushing on European places, and then he was told, sorry, you cannot get players. So yeah, all right, well, I'll leave that project to somebody else. It's not that he didn't think he could meet the target of not being relegated. Of course he could. He's not the kind of guy that would say, tell you what, I'll just let them go with it, get on with it because they won't even stay in the Premier League. No, but it's not what he was promised. So
Yeah.
quite clearly, that's what happened. And since then, he waited for his moment. Again, he had offers from Saudi Arabia. I think it's 70 million euros per year, something crazy. There was calls from Manchester United and from Bayern Munich, so that tells you the caliber of manager that he
I
is.
was Yeah, I was just about to ask that. Can we just come on to that for a second? Obviously, with the rumors of him or kicking about for the last few weeks about him talking to West Ham, etc. We're starting to hear things about AC Milan in contacts, Bayern Munich interested. So big reputable clubs, European pedigree clubs, keen and interested in Lopetegui. So for people just to jump the gun, but in terms of those rumors, are they true? And the man's integrity stood still by going, yeah, West Ham is the place I want to go because I believe in the project.
So let me tell you the context of these three situations. Both Bayern Munich and Manchester United have been interviewing coaches, the top coaches that they consider in Europe, with the possibility of course, in one case replacing Tuchel, which is they're still looking for it. Then decided it was Ralf Rangnick, and that was their only plan. Ralf Rangnick said no, and some of the managers that they wanted to talk to, perhaps they moved on, like Lopetegui. So let's see what they go next. And Manchester United had to do due diligence on managers around Europe in case Ten Hag goes. I've been told that perhaps he won't go. In any case, they needed to get that kind of information, and he conversed with the club. So you got all that. But for the last 6 months, AC Milan told him, do not go with anybody else. You're going to be our next manager. So start working on it. For 6 months, he did that. He started working on a stronger AC Milan with what he's got, with the budget that was available. A lot of things that he was very excited about. And then a campaign started from the ultras of AC Milan who wanted Conte to be the next manager. When you do that campaign and get rid of Paulo Fonseca, or Julen Lopetegui, who were candidates for the job, and one for Conte, what you're trying to do, of course, is influence Conte as well. So, look, we back you up. Now, can you give us tickets or whatever it is the ultras asked? So they got the board, American-owned club, a little bit like I don't know, scared. I don't know what the word is again. And they were like, "Oh, sorry, that I'm not sure. We're not sure about that." And Lopetegui thought again, do you know what? If you don't want me, fine, I'm going. So after 6 months working on it and disappointed, he thought, okay, what are the other options? And West Ham came up. Wasn't the only one. Wasn't the only one in England either. And he heard from Sullivan. Again, conversations went on very well. And like, for instance, Ruben Amorim, where there wasn't really synergy, and that photograph of him coming to London wasn't liked by Sullivan. But in any case, the place where West Ham wants to go is where Lopetegui can take them. It's as simple as that. And
Yeah.
I understand that people, as I say, don't have knowledge of him, haven't read enough about him, haven't watched him and his teams. Not just that, in England seems to be the case that you start your career as a footballer or manager when you arrive to England. as if nothing that had happened before matters. Well, it does matter
Yeah,
because that's
yeah,
what
it
made
does.
his career.
Yeah.
And of course, it matters because he's won European title as well. All in all, it is two massive powers there: the energy, the knowledge, the experience Lopetegui brings with the potential of West Ham. And I get very annoyed when I hear pundits talk about, oh, the West Ham fans are entitled because they want to play better. I'm sorry, mates, but you pay for your money to actually enjoy yourselves. It's what it is about. You go to a club in which that is a massive part of your day and of your
Absolutely.
travel. And if you don't get that, if you're not excited about your team, that's bad news.
And I think Lopetegui must be looking at West Ham over the last few years, and credit goes to David Moyes for taking us to the space where we're in. But there's no doubts, as you said there, Guillem, that we've not been as entertained as we would like to be. But what can we expect then from a Lopetegui side? What can we expect? What can the Premier League expect to be seen? I mean, we believe he's coming to West Ham knowing that he has Tim Steidten alongside him to find the players. There's going to be a bit of investment into the squad because we know that because there needs to be because we've got a very aging squad. But what can West Ham fans really expect from an experienced coach like Lopetegui?
Let me say first that what David Moyes has done is extraordinary to stabilize a team like West Ham and put a platform that, in my eyes, can go a little bit further. It's really, really good. And of course, his first title in his career, another title for West Ham, just extraordinary. But don't take it from me. Don't take from the fans that are disgruntled and unhappy with the style. I think David Sullivan was looking for a manager already 12 months ago. So he was interviewing some, he was looking at the CVs, he was getting advice. And then, of course, with the win in the Conference League, it was like, no, it has to be David Moyes, and all that was abandoned. But in the back of his mind, he wanted something else of West Ham. And that is, I guess, ambitious. That is brave to actually get rid of somebody that's popular like David Moyes. And then with Lopetegui, what you're going to have is it's a team that will be, if you go by, for instance, what he did at Wolves or at Sevilla, his last two jobs, a team that will be energetic, that will be physical, that will be not direct, as in not long ball, not at all, but you'll have everybody attacking and defending with high tempo, quick transitions, both defensive transitions and offensive transitions. A team that will be modern to look at, with different layers of ways of attacking, ways of building from the back, choosing what to do at the right time. That requires time, but he's going to have the preseason, and in my eyes, I think it's a 3-year deal. Let's see if that gets confirmed. He'll have time to put that in practice. But don't ask him to sign players, because that will be Sullivan. That's not going to be Lopetegui. Lopetegui is a coach.
A coach,
There's no
and that's the
manager.
key question. That's what I'd like you to just for anyone that's watching. It's going to be a big change for West Ham not to have the manager that's in control of all of this. So the head coach role is something we don't have it and haven't really necessarily seen. So what can we expect from that? Just dealing with the day to day of how these players actually get drilled into tactics, formations, fitness, all that sort of stuff.
But we should all get used to it, because it's been around in the Premier League for more than a decade now. But in any case, what you've got is somebody that will tell the chairman and the direction of football and everybody what is required or what he needs to improve. He won't look for the names, but he will obviously have a say when that happens. It is. I've always thought that to be a head coach is already, today in modern football, such a demanding job already. He was like that at Sevilla as well. There was a director of football in Monchi that is now Aston Villa. So he was happy to do that role because he can focus all his energy, and he's got a lot of it, into that. And the budget will be worked by the club, will be decided where he goes. And as I said, possibilities will be offered to him, and I'm sure he will also, because he watches a lot of football and has got a lot of contacts, he will put names forward, and the club will have to decide where, if that was where the good suggestions or not.
There feels a little bit behind this as well, that maybe he is looking at the Premier League and going, it's unfinished business. I do not want to come to the Premier League and let the situation that happened at Wolves be the reason why I'm remembered here. but he obviously believes in what he has achieved, and you can't argue with what he's achieved in football.
Let me say that we should spend a little bit less time on social media, because guess what? What he's got in his mind is that he did a fantastic job at Wolves.
Yeah,
It's not unfinished business. He just did a really good job at Wolves, and now he's got the possibility to do it with a club that is ambitious and want to get into those places where he wanted to take Wolves. Sorry, let me say again, those places that Wolves told him they wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And then they didn't give him the instruments for it. And for anybody to have a go at somebody who left because he was deceived, it's like, obviously, if it happens in your work with your boss, you would do exactly the same. If you are an honest man and you are, got integrity. But that other part of the discussion, the one he left or why he left, it's just it's not part of his head. It's not in his head. He just thinks, I've done a great job. It's only normal that Bayern Munich, Manchester United, AC Milan, Wolves will be interested in what I can offer.
Yeah. A couple of more questions before you go, because we know you need to go. So the second last question is, a lot of people have been worried about the youth at West Ham and the pathway into the first team. And there's no guarantees that youth players will make it there. But Lopetegui's got a lot of experience working with the youth, considering he managed and coached the Spanish under several teams, didn't he? So what can you tell us about his youth experience? And
well, let's say that he took from Johan Cruyff a bunch of things. His football, that's why it was a surprising choice by Real Madrid, because he's more like a Johan Cruyff pupil than a Real Madrid manager. But in any case, what he took from Johan Cruyff is that you have to give a spectacle. Football shouldn't just be about results. But also that as long as you're good, you go into the team. It doesn't matter what age you've got. Johan was never scared of putting youngsters in, like Pep Guardiola at 19 was a regular in the first team at a time. Well, that wasn't happening in the 90s, early 90s. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you're not good enough, you have to go. And that kind of ruthlessness you will get from him. And also, it will be good for the fans just to get to know him a little bit. Read around what he's about, listen to him when he tells his story, because as I said, he's the man with the right values and who is very Basque. I insist on this idea where the priority is whatever the target of the club is, not his personality, not his profile. That's not important. And one of the reasons why he didn't go to Wolves first is because of the illness of his dad. So he put family first, as he will always do. And it took a while. Wolves came back when his dad started his situation stabled. And then he's like, right, okay, I can go now. So all those things matter and matter to him. And as I say, if you open the doors to him and you open your arms, I think you're going to get somebody that will give you a lot back.
Yeah, excellent. And we're expecting, the final question is, we're expecting a 3-year deal. Is this what West Ham fans should expect for Julen Lopetegui?
I cannot confirm 100%. It's what I heard. It makes sense to do it this way, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, excellent. Guillem, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. It really does help us fans, because this is the way to get to the fans sometimes, is to come to the fans' voice, and it gives us a really good insight, especially with your knowledge, and it really has given me a bit more excitement. I mean, I'm not saying I wasn't excited. I'm just feeling a bit down after the way our season has gone, but hopefully the only way is up. But I'm willing to give them time. You have to give these coaches time to bed in and change the philosophy of what's going on at the club now. So, massively appreciate it, Guillem. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, speak soon.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
So there you go, everyone. What an amazing guest. There you go. Get a little bit of an insight, and it's always good to. It's so the clear message I take from that is, don't just judge a book from everything or judge someone and by social media opinions. If you don't watch the leagues intensely, then you can't really build up the character of someone, and then you judge them on the basis of false promises that were made over the Wolverhampton Wanderers deal, etc. So you can understand why Wolves fans would be angry about that deal that failed to transpire into anything. But as we all know, it is what it is, unfortunately. And he's now, as Guillem announced there, he is West Ham's new head coach. It's just all but confirmed by the club. It will probably be confirmed after the Manchester City game. But really nice insight in there from Guillem. Hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the thumbs up. It really does support us as well. And we'll be back bringing you as many of these quality interviews as we possibly can. Thanks for watching and take it easy. Come on, your irons.